Well, it's Wednesday, so it's time for couples devotional again. I'm here with my wife, Tracy. Last week we looked at Ephesians chapter 5, and we talked about the marriage principle number 1, that love is a choice, not just a feeling. And we looked at Ephesians 5 and how Paul was saying that we should love and walk in the way of love just like Jesus did, and it was self-sacrificial. But he goes on now in verse 3, and he says this, before he gets into the specifics with wives and husbands. He's still talking generally in verse 3. He says, "But among you there must not even be a hint of sexual immorality or of any kind of impurity or of greed, because these are improper for God's holy people." And so our focus today is really sexual purity, that we're called, as Christians, we're called to be sexually pure, which is different than the way the world looks at sexuality. They say sort of anything goes, but part of choosing love is choosing sexual purity. Now for men, this means a lot of times overcoming things like pornography. Pornography is so accessible these days, and a lot of men, even Christian men, struggle with pornography. And really the key to overcoming pornography is accountability. It's so important, men, for you to have someone you can speak to about that. If you don't talk openly with your wife about that there's a guy, a Christian man that you can talk to and just say, I need your help. I need to be held accountable to this thing because I struggle with it. If you don't know where to start with that, go to our website and go to the campus that you attend, and you'll find the campus phone number there and email address for your campus pastor, and they'd be happy to help you out in that area of accountability. And they're not going to judge you. They're just going to help you with that so that you can be stronger in that area of sexual purity.
For the women listening out there, some of you may struggle with pornography. Statistics certainly bear that out. But for many of you, it's probably going to be more guarding against chasing the fantasy. And what I mean by that is, women, what are the movies that we typically want to drag our husbands to? It's the romantic comedies. What are the books we want to read? It's the romance novels. Some of our TV shows, the same thing. We kind of chase after the fantasy of what our culture wants us to buy into, which is love is really about that overwhelming sense of feeling and romance that you're just swept off your feet. And the problem with that is, as we learned last week, that love is more about choosing, not about the feeling. And if we chase after the fantasy of something, we can then look at our husband and our marriage and become bitter and resentful that it doesn't look like the romance novel that we just read. So make sure, women, that you guard against chasing after something that's not realistic, and then bringing that into your marriage and holding that against your husband. So let the prayer focus for this week that as a couple, you guys would spend some time praying, and that your prayer would be, God, help me to make choices that lead to purity, and apply that appropriately to your situation.